Hello, this is John from the Haunted Informer,
And this is Glenn from Fall Ritual.
and this is episode 4 of Fall Informer. And today we have a special guest, Jim Reed from Bloodshed Farms.
Thank you
guys,
for joining us, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay.
Essentially, I was a home haunter. Started out that way, having Halloween parties. I went to another home haunt one year, and that's where my partner, Clark Fish, who runs the haunt with me, he was running another home haunt, and they were looking for volunteers because they had we're starting a charity haunt at a Burlington County Prison Museum, which was here in my hometown, and they were looking for volunteers to help out that year. And I signed up that Halloween, and next year was going to be their first year. So they called me that next summer. They were kind of already like in the building, and I met them, and we just kind of hung out that summer. I helped as an actor that year, and then through a bunch of different reasons, some of the people that had originally started helping Clark run that haunt kind of backed out. So he asked me to step in and help run the charity haunt, which we ran for 9 years. And pretty much near the end of that, which is kind of another story, we started looking for a new place to go. We had kind of like outgrown that location. We got a little bigger, I think, than they thought we were going to be. And then there was some issues with it being a county building and things like that. So we were looking for places. Probably a whole nother episode I could talk about trying to find locations for a haunted house, the horror stories we went through and things that we thought were sure things, and how many times we popped champagne and in the end sort of the deals fell through. And then we ended up obviously at Columbus Farmers Market. They've been there for, I believe, 70 years now. I'm probably getting that wrong. See, I'm not good at trivia. So that's where we've been. This will be our 6th season at Columbus Farmers Market in Mansfield, Springfield Township, New Jersey.
Who thought of the Bloodshed experience, and what are the overall reaction from customers who go through it and experience that?
Are you talking about like the actual like Bloodshed attraction?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Who thought of that Bloodshed experience?
Okay, so yeah, when we were still at the prison museum, we were just always thinking of ideas that we could do on the side. So we had small spaces here and there on the side. So we were always looking at little innovative ways that we can do things. And I think I remember Clark had seen it was called The Last Ride, where you get into the coffin. And he had seen that. And then for whatever reason, I think he just came up with this idea of building what's called the Bloodshed, which is like a giant torture shed, and doing simulated torture on people when we strapped them into this chair. And so that's what we did that for 1 season, I believe, at the charity haunt at the prison museum.
And then it carried over into what is now the whole Bloodshed.
Yeah. So after banging our heads against the wall for years over like what was going to be the name, when we got our location, I think we had at least 15 or 20 different names we were back and forth with. And
Right.
Then one day I think we were just in his car, and he was like, we've got this thing, the Bloodshed. Let's just make the entire story of like our location centered around this bloodshed, give it a backstory, and just be called Bloodshed Farms. And we were sort of like, yeah, that was the easy answer. Why didn't we think of it?
Do you know some of the names you were bouncing around for the haunt before it was Bloodshed?
I think we actually had a couple things that had Reapers in it before Reaper's Revenge came out. We had a couple different titles of Reapers. I know that was in it. We had like Haunted Hollows. That's about the only other one I can really remember off the top of my head. I think it wasn't Reapers. It might have even been Reaper's Revenge was something that he had thought of before Reapers. And he might have, I don't think he ever bought the .com for it.
Gotcha.
Now, what has been the overall reaction from the customers going through that Bloodshed?
Well, most of the time they definitely don't expect what is going on inside of it. That's for sure. A lot of big guys kind of laugh at it. You're not going to scare me. I don't care. And they come out of there and go, man, I was manhandled more than I thought, and that it
Mhm.
got me a couple of times. But the people that are watching it, you know, we have like the video on the side, so that
Uh-huh,
your group can
uh-huh.
watch what's going on inside. They end up enjoying it just as much. So
Oh yeah, it's an intense experience. Um, yeah, it's pretty nuts. I highly recommend if you're gonna have it this year, everyone check it out because it's unique to your haunt for sure.
yes, yep. We've taken it to a couple conventions also, but I mean, we tore that whole thing down one time and took it to a horror convention and rebuilt
Wow.
it inside the convention center. It took us forever, so we won't be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a question for you. How did
All
you
right.
get to know the circus rejects, Grin, Cheeks, and Carnage?
I'm not sure if I know them actually. Next question. No. You know, that's kind of strange. I don't know if I remember completely the first time I met Grin. I think it might have just been through Facebook Messenger or something that he reached out to us. Um, and we met when we were at the prison museum, and I think he just came there. And they weren't circus rejects at that time. He just kind of had. I think he just when I first met him, he just sort of had his character, and Carnage had Carnage. They were just starting to form circus rejects. In fact, it might even have been like a year after we met them that they formed circus rejects. So I birthed them. No,
You guys have one of the best gift shops in the haunt industry. I absolutely love your gift shop. Who creates those one of a kind and unique items in that gift shop?
so a lot of people actually we go to different locations. We've gone to flea markets, we've gone to conventions, and normally we just walk it through. And if we happen to see something that looks like it would be of interest to people that come to our haunt, or just things that we like, we'll approach the person at the convention and tell them about our gift shop. So we have items in there probably from 12 to 15 different creators every year.
Now, that's awesome. That's awesome that you guys do incorporate so many people and so many items into that gift shop because it is very, very unique.
Yeah, I mean, we've got things in there like from candles all the way up to like carved little, small little pumpkins and, crazy looking dolls, lots of artwork, jewelry, everything.
And bats, I think, right? Don't you have like bats and like
Oh yeah, we had
cases?
yep, we had some people. We had someone that did like what do you call it when you sort of take like the bats and the mice and stuff like that and put them in displays.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
awesome stuff you have in that gift shop.
Cool.
Talking about everything that we haven't had last year and we probably won't have again.
I know.
for
Well,
a little while, but that's okay.
I'm going to get to that question at the very
I know,
end.
I know.
So.
I've never been to Bloodshed Farms, but I'd love to go to. Glenn has talked very highly about it, and it made me excited to go. And I heard that the last ride, hayride, was very interactive and had special elements that you don't see at other haunts. And I'd like to know what was the process of creating those elements.
Pretty much one of the things we've always said since we kind of started is, we're just starting out. We're not going to be to compete with like Bates Motel's hayride, Reaper's hayride. We have a lot smaller budget, just starting out. So it's kind of like what could we do, for sort of like the smaller haunt, a haunt that's in like its first couple of years that would be different enough to set us apart, from those guys that have like these incredible scenes and animatronics that cost more than my house. So we figured one of the ways to go with that, and Clark came up with a lot of the ideas, was to make the actual hay carts more interactive, something we had never seen before at any other haunts. So the first year we did some crazy things. We had a coffin in like the middle of the hay cart. So we had this coffin in the middle, and we had like knockers, in the coffin that would go out. We had like air that would shoot out from the coffin, and then we just incorporated a bunch of other like effects on the carts themselves.
I said I'll add more to that. Your hayride is like one of the most, again, it's a word I use a lot with your attraction. It's very unique. I've never been on a hayride like that with like the iron fences. like the
Right.
iron fence around the hayride. I've also never seen people get scared over fog before, and people get scared over fog on your hayride. It's pretty crazy.
We love our fog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You love your fog, man. You got one of the craziest fog elements out there.
So what was more fun to do for the drive-through, the Bloodbath upgrade or the Christmas Carnage upgrade?
The bloodbath was probably more fun, just because I got to interact a lot with the vehicles when they drove through. I had stuff on me that I could do to the cars. I could write on the windows. I was drawing cartoons of like the driver, writing notes to the people inside on the car, and smearing blood on their cars. The bloodbath, it wasn't just about getting stuff on their vehicle, but it let us just touch their vehicle in general. So a lot more of it was just like shaking your vehicles, climbing in the back of pickup trucks as they were as they were going along. So that was pretty fun. The Christmas thing, I am a Christmas guy. I love Christmas. I always decorate my house. But the Christmas thing is so much more work, just because it's so cold and there's so much that has to come down, when Halloween is over, and we kind of have to leave everything up and just sort of add to that display. And now we're there in January instead of in, November, trying to like take things down. So the actual night of doing the Christmas thing is great, but the kind of before and after is not quite as fun.
Gotcha. So what have the best reactions been at Bloodshed Farms overall for all the attractions?
What do you mean, like an individual thing that happened, or just
Like overall, what do people like the most? Like what their favorite part of the midway, the attractions, what's the general consensus?
We try to pretty much every year do like exit surveys, and it kind of like varied a lot. I think the first year was our clown house was sort of like one of the things that everyone liked the most. So the year after that, we like really focused heavily on the asylum, and I think that it was like the clown house and the asylum were like fighting back and forth, right? With they were kind of like this friendly competition of like who was going to get the most votes, which really got the trail manager fired up for the next season. And he was going crazy building. I think you were there the year, Glenn, with the year with the giant shack that we built in the woods. The like voodoo shack. I'm not sure if you ever saw that. That was our last year of running it.
Yeah, I'm
so
not sure.
A lot of things were like people were coming back on, man, like the trail is so much better, this year. But yeah, overall it's kind of been like each year it seems like it's like been up in the air. Like this one, it was the clowns, then it was asylum, then people like the trail.
Now I have heard, and tell me if this is true or not, if you know the story. I heard someone actually threw up on the hayride though.
Yeah, we've had that happen, a couple of times. I don't know if that person was scared or just came a little intoxicated.
Okay.
Or a little bit of both.
Both.
But,
okay.
But,
we'll say that they were scared for the
yeah. So luckily it was off the side of the hayride, not on the hayride itself.
Oh man.
So what advice or tip would you give to anyone wanting to start up their own on an attraction?
Research, definitely tons and tons of research. One of the biggest things for me is you need to not only go to the conventions, which unfortunately aren't, they're coming back this year, fortunately, but seminars, you can find them online. There's some you can pay for. There's DVDs. Just learn everything you can and go to as many places as you can. When you go to these conventions, talk to people, find out what they like. Owners will happily share information with you. If you get to know some of your local owners, you really want to get to know some of the ones that have been in it the longest. They're going to help you out. They're going to tell you, what to do, what not to do. But it's really all about education. The few haunts that we know that we've tried to kind of help out in the past, that was sort of like one of their main things. Like the owners just sort of came at it as in like, oh, I love Halloween. Oh, I used to decorate my house. I can do a haunted house. and I've seen 2 or 3 of them not make it after a couple of years. So it's really about like knowing the industry more than you think you do.
Right. I'm sure there's a
If you
lot.
think you have enough information, you don't. Just keep going.
Right. I'm sure there's a lot you got to know, and not only just the haunt aspect, but the whole business side of it too.
Yeah, clearly my first couple of years was just every convention that we could go to, and it was just marketing after marketing after marketing, social media, just all that type of seminars, really on top of the, like, how to make tombstones. Like, sure, you need that, but the other stuff is almost probably more important than anything.
Cool. I liked your marketing. I liked your marketing. I like the theme you have on your website. I like it. It builds suspense. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
Do you plan on opening all attractions this upcoming season? Like, as of right now, what is your thought process for the upcoming season?
So it's kind of hard to answer right now. We honestly did just have a meeting a couple of days ago, but a lot of people don't know this. I think you do, Glenn, but last year, because of the COVID situation, we have sort of like a unique, kind of, I don't want to say like unique position, but some haunts, we have to get a lot of permits from the township, and there's a lot of other haunts in New Jersey that are like, what are you getting? I've never heard of this, so it kind of falls on like your township. Possibly if you're like a private owner, that could be, a little bit different, but there's something in the same township we're in is the Burlington County Farm Fair. And it's probably one of the biggest fairs in New Jersey. And when they canceled last year, we knew it was going to be like tough for us to get our permits also, because they usually run in like June or July, I think. So with the whole COVID thing going on last year, it did not look good for us at all. The township was pretty much saying like, there's no way, you guys are going to be able to open. So the Columbus Farmers Market, they ended up cutting a deal with like another business and leased out a small section of the property right where we do our event. So we ended up having to like shift our area back only like 50 or 60 yards last year. So we had to tear a bunch of stuff down last season to make some space for them. So it kind of was worked out. I hate to say that COVID almost gave us a new like perspective on what to do last year, because we were kind of like, how are we going to get these things rebuilt in time? And then we're like, we're probably not going to open anyway. So I guess it's, everything sort of worked out. That said, we went with the drive-through. So we focused on, we had about a month, I think, when the township finally kind of said we could go with the drive-through event, which was the only thing we were allowed to do. So in that month we spent, we got the road paved so that it was safe for, vehicles, and just the logistics of running that, and got through all that. So worked out fairly well, I think. But here we are this season, and we're sort of in limbo again with our permits. They just canceled the farm fair. So they're not going to be having it this season. So the fact that a lot of our stuff is still not rebuilt, we're pretty sure we're just going to end up going with the drive-through event one more season this year. Well, what's good about that is we're just, from now till October, we're going to focus completely on revamping and doing everything we can to make this drive-through like an incredible experience this year.
Great. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great drive-through. It was a very unique. I've personally never done anything like it. I'm sure everyone who went through it never did anything like it. I thought you did a great job. I know there was a lot of people complaining on social media about it wasn't run smoothly, but I personally thought you did a great job with it. I'm curious to see if all you're focusing on now is that, like you said, you had a month to do it, and you pulled it off.
This kind of goes back to your question about people getting into the haunt industry for the first time, right? There was nothing, no one was doing a car drive-through, so there was nowhere we could go and learn about timing of cars and
Right.
and we just had to almost sit down and just be like, this can happen, this can happen, this can happen. How do we prevent this? What happens if this happens? And just try to mitigate all of those things. And then obviously the very first night we had cars breaking down while they were in the middle of the drive. So we kind of had some things in place of what to do when that happened, but it's still, when you have time ticketing and you have cars coming through every 30 seconds, if a car breaks down for 6 minutes, I mean, it's like a chain ripple effect.
Reaction. Yeah, right. That's how do you deal with that?
And so it happened a lot more throughout the season, but we learned from that. We had more things in place to like get to that car, get it out the way, keep things moving.
Good.
So I think it was almost like a learning experience from day one last year till like the last day. And then Christmas, I think, ran, fairly smoothly because we had already kind of worked out all the kinks. So hopefully, it's like a year under our belt of experience. So hopefully we can really improve upon it this year.
Nice. Yeah, and not only that, the actors themselves have got to get used to that. They were not used to having cars constantly, at least with the hayride, there's a break in between from each wagon. Now with a constant flow of cars, actors got to, have no break. And that's, exhausting to do.
It was exhausting for the actors for sure. Much, I mean, we literally shook people at the end of the, we had actors throwing up from just being so exhausted, last year. And, we're shaking actors like, take a break, you must take a break. And they're like, no, I don't want to miss a car. I don't want, where you're 5 hours in, take a break.
And that's why I appreciate haunt actors. That's why I always, in all my reviews, I appreciate everything those guys do. All the haunt actors, owners, behind the scenes guys. It's just unbelievable what you guys pull off.
And the most difficult thing is, I kind of was a haunt actor also, and I still do. Your energy feeds off of people, so you're feeding off of the sounds that are in the attractions, the music that are in the attractions, and the screams from the people coming through. So now these actors are there with people's windows up, and there's no sound. There's, they can't hear people screaming. They can't hear the music. They don't hear sound effects. So it was like even more challenging for them to sort of like keep their game up and just sort of this dull atmosphere that they were working in.
Wow. It's unbelievable what they do and how they pull it off, and how they just know what to do. And it's like instinct,
Right.
Definitely want to make sure you plug all your social media.
Yeah, sure. Yes. I mean, they can just go to bloodshedfarms.com or on Facebook, Instagram. They can just search Bloodshed Farms and it'll come up, definitely, no problem.
No, what you guys, well, you said you're doing a lot just on the hayride this summer. Are you guys hiring or anything? Or is it you guys want?
Yeah, we're putting out a hiring for sure. We're, like I said, we're just sort of in the beginning stages of talking about exactly how this year is going to go. We haven't really even released anything to like our private group or any of our actors or managers or anything yet about kind of the direction we're going to go this season. But hopefully we can add some more nights. So we will be looking for, actors, and we'll be putting it out there, on our social media and website, looking, probably sometime by June, we'll have some stuff posted. And then usually it's like August is when we start doing our hiring process. So
awesome. So keep an eye out for that on their social media and everything. Yeah. Awesome.
Definitely.
Cool. If you end up doing the drive-through again, are you going to do Christmas again? You're going to do that?
We haven't decided. We probably won't decide until we see exactly like what happens with the township and with the the approvals and stuff that we get.
Gotcha.
So I'm still we were just taking down Christmas decorations yesterday. There's still Christmas lights on some of the scenes. We just love
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for coming on, being a guest.
Yeah, no problem.
It was great having you. Check out Bloodshed Farms. Awesome. I can't wait to come back and see you guys. You know me. I love your haunt. I love what you're doing out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Keep up the awesome work.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted on anything, any news that we have, Glenn. And if anything, you can always announce it on here or have me back on later in the summer or something's fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
awesome. You know, as
Nice.
long as you want to do more or you got more information, yeah, pass it along. And like I said, we try and keep up on all haunt industry of what's going on, and throughout the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All
awesome.
right.
Well, thank you so much, Jim.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys.
So that was episode 4 of Fall Informer. And until next time, happy hauntings.